Welcome everyone to a special mini-episode on the current crisis. I mean, of course, the kiss. In episode 7, Elrond says that he wants to say goodbye to Galadriel, and to my quite complete surprise, he decided this would be best accomplished by a hearty and lingering smooch on the lips. Perhaps this moment didn't bother or annoy you. If so, great, no problem, it needn't. Please proceed with your day in peace and tranquility. But I suspect that many of you have been having some feelings about this, and I wanted to address that whole situation right away. As you know, we focus here at Rings and Realms on analysis, not reaction. But it isn't like we don't have reactions, and that we don't acknowledge that other people have strong reactions to things. In this episode, we thought that a lot of people might be struggling with this whole kiss thing, so I wanted to address it. I'm gonna discuss it during the course of my analysis of the episode. That is, I'm going to attempt a dispassionate analysis of its role in the story that episode 7 is unfolding. But if you're having a strong emotional reaction to this scene, it might be hard to just set that aside and be all clinical about it. And anyway, I am still doing some processing myself, so let's work through this a little bit. Now, if you're an attentive viewer of the Rings of Power, you may find yourself confused and bewildered by this unexpected turn of events. Elrond and Galadriel's relationship has been one of the several really important friendships that the show has featured. At first glance, the kiss would appear to suggest that they're moving their relationship into the steamy romance column, and that is a little hard to reconcile with everything that's gone before. Now, if you're a Tolkien fan, you will probably know that Elrond is destined to marry Galadriel's daughter, which gives this sensual little flare-up whole new levels of creepiness. What, are we supposed to think that Elrond is going to marry Celebrian on the rebound because he couldn't get her mom? That is so appalling that I am from this moment never going to think about that ever again. Now, it's only fair to say that a viewing of the whole episode after some deep, calming breaths does not at all jive with a romantic reading of that scene. The kiss is obviously a ploy to distract attention away from the fact that Elrond is in fact slipping Galadriel his brooch in order to enable her to free herself from her shackles. The episode goes way out of its way to draw attention to Elrond's taking the pin off his cloak beforehand, and then we see it in Galadriel's hand later on. Under the circumstances, the conclusion that this is the expression of repressed sexual passion is far from unavoidable. Moreover, it's certainly possible to maintain that in some cultures, the expression of non-sexual affection through a mouth-to-mouth kiss is quite normal, and that our modern society that expresses only erotic love through kisses on the lips is historically unusual. As a medievalist, I'm prepared to agree with that statement. It's certainly true that other cultures, especially pre-modern cultures, have expressed many different kinds of love or affection through a kiss on the mouth. And so yes, potentially, elven culture could be one of those. However, if you were upset by the kiss, I bet all that stuff I just said didn't do a thing to make you feel any better about that scene. And I don't blame you. Maggie is going to talk about this more during our discussion in episode 7, and she's going to talk about the mixed signals that she feels the show gives us in that moment, which are emotionally confusing at best. And as I said before, Tolkien people are likely to be imagining both Celeborn and Celebrian out there somewhere looking for a new therapist. Here's my perspective on this kind of thing, though. I understand having a strong emotional reaction to moments like this. Trust me, I do. But I find it really easy to let reactions like that kind of spiral out of control if I indulge them. I know well the temptation to rant about it, but in my opinion, ranting is like drinking seawater, as Galadriel might say. It will never satisfy your thirst and make you feel satisfied. In situations like this, I've heard people exploding and saying things like, "This show has no regard for Tolkien at all," or "These people are totally clueless." I consider such things to be expressions of honest emotions, but I think they're very unhelpful in the end. So for me, I just take a deep breath and think through it a little less passionately. First, does this scene actually convey sexual interest between Elrond and Galadriel? As I've already suggested, I think the balance of the evidence from the episode suggests it does not. Next, if not, then why does he kiss her on the mouth? Well, apparently, both in order to distract her captors from his handing her the brooch, which works, and to express real, even if not sexual, affection for her. As I'm going to discuss in the episode, this moment is clearly significant, even pivotal, in the development of the theme of forgiveness within this episode. I think that a cool consideration of the scene points in those directions, and if the future episodes of the show seem to bear that out, and we don't in fact see any continuing budding romance between these two, then I'm going to rest confidently that that's how we're supposed to understand this whole kissing scene. Okay, fine. This does not mean, however, that I find this choice defensible. Doing this analysis makes me feel a little bit better, but it's hard not to be upset about it nevertheless. It was a choice made by the showrunners and probably others on their team. They decided that this moment of affection between the characters and deception of their enemies could be most effectively accomplished through a kiss on the lips. Personally, I don't agree. I often discuss these things in terms of cost and benefit. When a show makes a particular choice, there are benefits, ideas they successfully convey or reactions they want to induce, and also costs, risks that they take, or opportunities that they lose because they didn't make a different choice. In my mind, the cost-benefit analysis of this choice is overwhelmingly negative. The kiss runs the risk of confusing everything they have set up about the quite lovely friendship between these two. And it also runs the risk of alienating Tolkien fans who feel that one or two of their favorite characters have been violated. There are benefits to the scene. It does accomplish some things, and it could be defended in a few ways, like I did just a little bit ago. But I think the risks vastly outweigh the benefits, so I think this was a terrible choice. So for me, I'm going to put it in that category, alongside other choices made in this show that I don't think work out very well, of which there have been several, as I've discussed in previous shows. And then I'm going to let it go, and move on with my life, and even with my enjoyment of the rest of the show. I think we could all benefit from getting back to something wholesome and inspiring, such as the physical and psychological torture of Celebrimbor. The moral of the story, I think, is clear. More dismemberment, fewer kisses between future relatives. When has that formula ever steered anybody wrong?